Welcome to the B2B E-Commerce Marketing Podcast by Enspire Creative. I'm Jacob. I'm here with Adam. We got some great content and some great stories for you today.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Today, we are going to talk about legacy B2B e-commerce companies and what their websites used to look like, or maybe even still do look like. So, Adam, how do you define, I guess first question, how do you define like a legacy B2B e-commerce company?
So I think the easiest way to define it is they were formed pre-internet usually, right? They've been around for a while. They have not had to rely on modern or more digital marketing or really any techniques revolving around digital because they have very formed operations and sales in their business. You know, they maybe rely on more traditional word of mouth, referrals, distribution, billboards, out of home, right? And they do well or have historically done very well with that. And what we mean by legacy is these are very successful businesses in their own right, right? They've survived and done things probably for more than a decade, longer, multiple decades now, right? If it was pre-internet. And they are now starting to feel the problems mounting of, hey, our traditional marketing is not working as effectively, or hey, we really wanted to get into this or start doing this. So they're starting to, they've tried it. Maybe they have a website, maybe they've done that 5-10 years ago. Maybe they have done some marketing, but they haven't found great success because again, that's not their wheelhouse yet, right? So that's kind of how we look at who we have worked with is businesses that, you know, maybe they've been in business since 1992, or maybe it's a family-owned business and it's the next generation taking over. Legacy just means they've been around a while and they have a great product, a great service, a great business. They just haven't translated that into that digital era yet.
And when we say B2B e-commerce, in general, what we mean is a company that sells products to other companies, right? B2B,
Correct.
but typically
Correct.
like physical products. A service business, a little different. We're just talking about e-commerce here.
B2B e-commerce. And again, we realize that that can mean services added. Like there can be a product first with a service component or a support component. But typically this means someone buying a product online, right? From a business buying from another business online.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So let's talk about the first one that we've been working with a while ago, right? When we started with them, they didn't think they could sell their products online because they were just doing sales, like direct sales, networking, outreach, etc. Tell us about that client.
Yeah, so this client in particular, high-end product, they do have distribution as well through a national retailer, right, and things like that. So their historic business model has been predicated on referrals, word of mouth, kind of that niche of, hey, do you need a product that cleans this or cleans, these types of materials, then they kind of were the go-to team. But again, as we both know, distribution and marketing has changed a lot. It still exists in the B2B world, but catalogs and reps and distributors visiting you and things like that are becoming far less effective in today's world, because businesses don't really want to waste their time with it. They do their own research, they find the products that best work for them, and they go out and buy it. And one of the things that I think the client that we're referring to that they did early on very well was they didn't believe they could sell their products online directly to these businesses. Like, people would be willing to put their credit card information on to buy a $5,000 or $10,000 purchase, but they were willing to try it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what stood out for them, and that's what really transformed them, and frankly has gotten them ahead of their competitors, is that they're able to sell directly to these businesses online. They make it easy for them. They provide great service, great support, but the website has everything people need to purchase if they want to. And they can also call them and contact them, talk to them directly to an owner most of the time, right? If people have questions about how to use it or how does it work, or, is it going to be the right fit for me?
Yeah, so they blended their sales process with their website and digital marketing.
Exactly. And nowadays, we have just as many conversions, if not more, coming directly through the website, where people don't even have to talk to anyone. They find the product, they got it, they buy it, as we have coming through phone call sales, chat sales, other direct outreach or online demos. So, we have seen a big shift where previously the website accounted for maybe 10, 15% of the revenue. It's now accounting for more than 50% of the revenue.
Yeah, and another notable thing about B2B businesses is a lot of times their revenue comes from repeat customers, right? So if they're selling to like a national chain, there's tons of locations. That chain is going to be buying like equipment and products from multiple locations and replacing them. So it's good to just give them the flexibility. It's like, they know what they want to buy. Just let them buy it online. Like, make it easy. So then, hey, it's 11 p.m. at night. They're like, oh yeah, like I got to order a replacement product for this one location. Like, just let them do it and get it over with. And then, and then you can still have that sales side of things, like reach out to them and just say, like, follow up, but just make it easy.
And I think this client in particular, they call every client who orders online just to confirm the order details, make sure everything is right before they ship. The other thing they've done is set up accounts directly for their large accounts, for the distributors, for people who are big clients like these supermarket chains, right, or things like that, where those people have a dedicated account. Now they can log in anytime. They have their preferred pricing. They can order. So we've done that with them as well, to not only help them attract new clients online and get people to buy online, but also make it easy for people to reorder and rebuy from them ongoingly.
What was their website like before we signed up with them?
It was pretty, honestly, it was like a sales brochure, right? It was like an online sales brochure. It's like, here's our product, here's our specs, here's the information, give us a call to buy is kind of the main call to action. People could buy some things online, don't get me wrong, they had them available when we started working with them, but they weren't getting many orders online, right? You're talking 10, 15% of their revenue accounted for online orders, but most of their orders were smaller units, not the bigger ones. And I think that's the piece that finally clicks into place for a lot of B2B, is people are buying as a business, right? A $5,000 unit versus a $2,000 unit. Yes, for an everyday consumer, $3,000 is a huge swing. But when you're a business, if that saves you days worth of work, it saves hours worth of cost, it saves labor, it saves time, whatever, it makes it a better product for you, whatever you're using it for, that pays for itself very quickly. Right? So the math is easy to do when you see it actually holding up and doing what you want it to do. And that's the value that we're trying to showcase online. So it's an easy value decision, like, oh, this works like this. I can do 5 more jobs with this unit or whatever, and that makes that money back in 6 months. I'm going to buy it. No problem.
Yeah. And I guess another kind of downside to treating your website like a sales brochure is you don't invest in advertising it, and you don't invest in digital marketing to show an old sales brochure that you don't really put much effort into. So that,
I mean, we run into this problem all the time.
Yeah. that's not just a problem for website sales. That's a problem for overall offline sales as well, because you're not
Exactly.
advertising your product as well as you should.
The number one problem people face is they're like, why is business slow? Is like, look at your marketing. It's inconsistent. Are you investing a right amount into your marketing? It doesn't even matter about digital marketing versus traditional marketing or out of home, right? Like I'm talking about in general, like a lot of businesses do not value or invest enough in their marketing. And then again, the inconsistent. Maybe you spend $2,000 one month on ads online and then you
Mm-hmm.
turn them off because you got no results. It's like, okay, you're never going to get results with one data point, right? You're
Yeah.
never going to get results with turning on and off. You have to have consistency. You have to optimize. You have to tweak. You have to adjust. And that's the problem of treating your website like a brochure and not like your central marketing hub, your foundation, where you're driving people to it and you're not deriving value just from one thing. You're driving value from multiple actions, right? And I know I'm probably jumping ahead here quick a little bit, Jacob, but the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing that I will say is you have to make the use of all of the traffic coming to your website. And if you're able to get leads from it, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're able to get a purchase from it, but if you can get an email, you can get a phone number, you can get them and engage with the chat. What's the value you can get so that you can re-engage these people? Because the number one thing that is different in what we're,
Mm-hmm.
a brochure is like, here's information with very little call to action, with very little data capture, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to move B2B businesses, these legacy businesses to, is power and using data to legitimately and professionally and legally use people's data that they give them and give them the consent to,
Mm-hmm.
market back to them and create more value, more touch points over time. Because a lot of these decision points are not impulse buying, these are strategic investments, right? So they're going to
Mm-hmm.
want to collect the data, they want to understand it, they want to do the research to then come back and make a decision.
Yeah, and it's the website is not that different from a salesperson, right? If a
No.
salesperson meets with a prospective client, they like try to understand what they're looking for, what do they do, what
Yep.
business are they in, like what are their pain points, and then you try to educate that prospect. You give them information, value, like you try to build a relationship. You essentially like you try to benefit them at every step of the journey, so
Yep.
then eventually like you figure out if the products are right, like the right fit for them. When
Yeah.
your website is a brochure, all it is it's just like showing information. It's like a fact sheet. It's like, hey, here's a picture of
Yep.
our product, some specs. It's great. It's like there's no relationship. It's only
It's
building like so much
impersonal.
value. It's not
Yep.
like interactive at all. So
Yep.
I don't know. That's just kind of how I think of it. Like a website should do everything that your sales team does, just automatically through
Yeah,
technology.
it's the challenge of how do you explain the value of your product? How, like what is the sales pitch? You need to make sure your website is encapsulating that sales pitch, but
Mm-hmm.
in probably in a more formative way, because you have video based, you have content, you have imagery, you have graphics, can product videos mixed in. Like you can do so much more on a visit to a website that's properly set up,
Mm-hmm.
than you can even on a sales call, and honestly, even more valuable than an in-person demo a lot of times, because a demo is only important once you're ready to buy and you want to see the capabilities and you really want to understand it and like see the unit, test the unit. But trying to get details about everything around it, that doesn't come from that situation. That comes from other
Mm-hmm.
information, right? So I think that's the goal of, like, that's the main problem with these brochure websites is they're not built out in the right way. They're not leveraging the sales kind of language and techniques that
Mm-hmm.
can really honestly sometimes even replace the need for a sales call, right? Because users and consumers can kind of go on their own and do that. And lastly, it's about the relationship. It's about offering value. It's about getting information. It's about helping people find the right decision for them. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
that lead form comes in. It's helping them get the right quote, helping them get a live demo, helping them solve problems, right? Answering the question that have, because if someone's not ready to buy immediately, there's a reason why they're not buying. Is it the price? Is it the value? Is it the right fit? Is it a timing issue? Then let's continue that conversation in a way that's meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm. And these websites, like a good B2B e-commerce website, does not replace a sales team. It doesn't replace
It
customer
doesn't. It
service.
should honestly make the sales team's
Mhm.
life easier and better because they're able to get high quality, qualified leads coming in the door that are primed and ready for the actual conversation, right? So
Mhm.
instead of having to give your same pitch over and over again, same information, they're coming in with specifics like, hey, I watched that video on this product. I'm really curious to learn more about this,
Mhm.
right? And then they can take that phone call and they can have a conversation, or they can schedule them on a live demo or whatever, your process is, right? To be able to then move that person to close. And it should honestly take 1 or 2 phone calls. It shortens the life cycle of that sales process. Let's say typically it's a 4-week process. You may be able to shorten that down to a 1-week process because the
By
website's
having a
helping.
better website. Yeah, so instead
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
salesperson needing to explain, here's what the product is, here's what it
yep,
does, here's how you turn it on, like here's the
yep.
basic.
And
They know
that's
the
and
basic
that's one call.
information.
Yep,
Yeah, so the salesperson is building value in the product that is very specific and tailored to that individual customer, right? So they're not building value in here's the product, here's what it does, it's great for everyone. Like that's already established through the website. But then when
yep,
that customer salesperson interaction happens, the salesperson can say, like, hey, Mr. Customer, like I know you are looking for this. This is a specific concern you have. This is the value in our product for your specific situation. So,
yep.
like you said, it can just cut the process from like 4 weeks down to 2 because it does a
Yep.
lot of the boring work.
Or
I
even a single week, right? Like the customer does all the research, they reach out, they have one conversation, they answer their questions, concerns, and they purchase right on that call, or an order can go out afterwards, right, to have them review the quote. And a lot of the time, what we find with B2B legacy businesses is if you empower the website to lead to your traditional systems, you're at an advantage over other companies,
what do you
right?
mean
Because
by that?
so legacy businesses are really good at talking to people, right? Like they
Yep.
typically have people to talk to. They have good systems. They have historically have been doing this the whole time. The problem is a lot of the traditional ways they've gotten and reached people to use those systems they already have that have been really, frankly good, have dried up. So how do we connect the digital element on the front end to then be able to bring the frankly, how do we bring the digital element to the front end to enhance and empower and utilize the legacy systems that have already been kind of successful for this business? There are 2 reasons for that: are competitive advantage. Most most new businesses do not have the same team structure, same calls, same abilities that legacy businesses have because they don't have the money or financing, or they haven't invested in those things. Um, and then additionally, these people know their product, they know their service, they know people. They can talk to them all day long if they have people to talk to, right? So I think for me, one of the main focuses is the beautiful thing about blending and how we work with legacy B2B businesses and e-commerce is that once we find what works for them and we really help them empower their online channels and really get the sales going and leads going, the rest of the company really kind of adapts and gets up really quickly because they already are there, they're ready, they're wanting. Um, they just haven't thought the modern mix, right, was kind of tripping them up a little bit, and we helped them get there.
So I guess the question is, what are the clearest signs that the business is treating their website like a brochure?
There's the clear signs are they don't really have a product structure, right? Like they're completely just kind of here's everything all at once. It's on the homepage. It's there's a ton of information, kind of not leading people through the website, but rather just kind of dumping it there. So you see a lot of you know information heavy sections, and it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily lead you kind of it does there's no strategy around, hey, are you interested in this, and then lead you further deeper into the site. Product detail pages are either missing or very weak. They're very simple, but all the information lives on the other pages, which should probably be living on those pages, right? They don't really have much in terms of like filtering or specifications or even comparison. It's just all kind of sales language or even product information, or it's all there. It's not filterable, it's not searchable, it's not compared, it's just in different zones. So you as a customer have to read through and kind of make your own judgment.
Hmm.
Kind of going back to um, kind of the pathways, right? Like user experience and how they think. There's no clear buyer path, right? There's no clear direction on you go here to here to here. It's kind of all up front. You have to make your decision. There's no guidance, right? To if you're interested in this, click here and go to this, I should never say click here, but they as a user can click and go into more information. And then there's no conversational opportunities. There's no engagement. There's no lead forms. There's no phone call initiation. It's all about give us a call to order, right? It's all on the client to initiate, not necessarily being like, hey, can we help you? Give us your information. We'll call you back, right? It's not relational. It's not dialogue. And again,
it's almost
I
like they
mentioned this
just do
before.
their whole website as a checkbox.
Yeah.
It's like,
Basically.
we got information on the website. Like, let me send you a link. It's like,
it's all there. And again, maybe it looks good, maybe it doesn't look good from a design perspective, but at the end of the day, it's a brochure. If they're trying to put as much information in a short amount of space as possible. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I've reduced the amount of clicks, or people don't have to search for it, yada yada. But when you put a ton of information in one place, it's like you're not putting any information there, right? Because it gets very confusing.
Yeah, the goal of reducing the number of clicks to get to information it's almost like the only piece of UX like optimization that people know. They're like, I want to make it helpful for the user, so everything is on one page. There aren't any clicks to get to it, but that just neglects the rest of the overall user experience, such as like information overload, like clarity, like convenience.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
I digress. I'm not the UX person.
But I mean, again, from a marketing perspective, a lot of people think about pieces of what they've heard, but how do you put it all together? How do
Yeah.
you make it easy for the buyer? And what are the actual things the buyer needs to make decisions? And that is how you go from a brochure website to a e-commerce, revenue value-driven website, which is you're helping and meeting the buyer where they're at and guiding them through the process to a decision. Whether that's getting a lead, whether that's a purchase, getting them to call you, whatever that call to action is, but you're not expecting them to take that action immediately. And that, I think, is the difference between a brochure and a thoughtful, kind of intelligently built e-commerce website that accounts for kind of how users are buying online today.
Yeah. Yep. So what is the cost of not investing in your website and not bringing it up to speed? And let me maybe I'll answer this with a little anecdote. So the second client that I referenced earlier, you'll catch on. So they initially built their website back in like 2007 or something. At the time, it was cutting edge. It was one of the better websites around. It was customized, tons of information on it. They were doing work for SEO back in like 2007, maybe it was 2010, around there. The website was great, and they were getting all kinds of sales through their website. This client, a couple years ago, they were up to like 3.5 million in sales. So again, we're our B2B e-commerce clients that we're talking about typically between like 1 and 10 million in revenue, but they apply to bigger companies. So these are several $1 million companies. So they had gotten up to 3.5 million in sales with their website, which was great at the time. Over the years, 10 to 15 years later, they didn't bring it up to speed. They didn't really update it. And their sales slowly started declining to about like the 2 million range. So the cost of having this old, outdated, kind of like brochure style website, to them, that's what, 33% of your revenue? Like, not to say that the decrease is all due to the website, but they did admit that they had a lot more sales through their website early on, and now it's really just like a couple a month. Thankfully, they're still successful because they do sales, they have the networks, they're B2B, but they're wondering what are they leaving onto the table because they haven't invested in their website, and that's that's really when they came to us and said, hey, like we need to get a new website. We gotta see what we can get by doing this the right way. So
Absolutely.
what would you say about that?
I mean, you're summing up kind of the experience of a legacy B2B e-commerce business right now in the day and age where they're starting to see traditional channels fade. There are things that were working previously are not working. Their sales are not going as well. They're still the same business. They're still doing a great product. They're still doing the great, service and things around, selling to their clients and customers, but they haven't invested maybe as much, or maybe they haven't adopted certain things as quickly as they should have that would have helped them kind of mitigate some of these challenges, right? So the cost of a brochure website is that you're not aligning your online real estate, your online website, to the current needs or wants or issues of a customer or a buying pattern. So typically in a lot of B2B spaces, online brochure websites worked because everyone had a brochure, whether it was online or in person. In the modern world, people don't just buy based off of information they see. They do research, right?
They do lots of their own research.
They do a lot of own research, and a lot of things they don't have a rep anymore that comes into their business and they buy from. They buy themselves, right? So a lot of what used to drive even traffic and value was a rep going into a business, talking about something, and then they would go online to that website and find it afterwards or something like that, right? That's not happening anymore. Very, in certain industries it's more common, but not in general, right? People are buying for themselves, people are doing their own research, and here's the thing. SEO, Google, LLMs, right? ChatGPT, these are all prioritizing websites that are modern in framework. They're technically built in a fast, well-developed, information-rich way, right? That helps the users get the information they need to make a buying decision, right? That's what B2B is all about. It's transactional, right? They have intentional searches to purchase something, and Google lays that as a intentional transaction, right? They're looking to buy a whatever, right? A product, a unit. If your website is outdated and is not structured for that, you are not going to show up in the top results, even if you've been in business for 20 years, even if you do have good content, even if you have all the backlinks, you're not going to show up. So naturally, you're going to get excluded, and you're going to be losing traffic, losing sales, and the cost of that could be millions of dollars, could be 30% of your market, your year over revenue. It could also be the future of your business, right? And I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but if you're investing well in your business, you can weather a lot of storms. You can lead through change, right? A lot of our clients who have come to us over the years, we work with some of them for 8+ years now, right? When they came to us, they were doing 15% of the revenue online. They're now in the 60-70% of the revenue goes through the website. And that's a huge shift, right? Because now in the days of tariffs and higher cost of inputs and a lot of things, you have to eke out your margins everywhere you can to be able to make sure you're putting forth not only a competitive price, but you're making money at the same time. And if you're not prepared and don't have a good marketing system, you don't have a good website, you're going to lose out. And that's only going to compound those problems, right? So paid traffic doesn't really work with a brochure website. It's ineffective. You're spending money, you're not getting conversions, right?
Almost any kind of digital marketing loses.
Yeah, it just hits the website and you may get a lot of traffic, but are you getting a lot of calls? Are you getting a lot of conversion? And the answer is probably not. So if you're sitting there like, hey, I'm running ads, I'm doing things, but I'm not getting people reaching out, it's like, maybe it's time to take a look at your landing pages or your website, right? SEO, you may be getting traffic still, but are you getting the right type of traffic? Are you ranking for the right things? And are they actually converting? Are you getting actual traffic sourced from organic search? And if that's dwindling year over year, then something, SEO is obviously changing a lot, but a lot of it is because you're not adapting, right, your website to match those needs and do those things, because you can bring that traffic back if you're adapting and doing the right things, right? You're getting maybe a lot of not great leads or phone calls or people who are reaching out because they're calling because they heard about one thing or they saw an ad or whatever. But again, they're reaching out because they're confused, right? They don't really know, do you sell this product? Do you not? You're not necessarily qualifying them through the website. It may waste your sales team's time or waste your own time. Additionally, you also have no data you're collecting, right? You're not getting more information, rich information about, are we getting people to product pages? Are we getting people to add things to cart? Are we getting that purchase data, where those purchases are coming from? If we're relying so much on people going to a page and calling, we're missing a lot of that data story that tells us exactly what we kind of need to know when do people drop off or when do people convert, right? So it helps actually paint the picture a lot clearer of what's working or not working. And I think that is, being able to segment that, being able to have clear intention, intent signals. But more than that, when a client comes to us and says, "Hey, Adam, what's working for us right now?" I can go on and be like, "Hey, you're getting an 8x
Yeah.
ROAS on your PPC right now. We're seeing your SEO kind of pick up for you. We've had good marketing. Hey, your emails have been outperforming in this last month." We're able to kind of look at the mix of the marketing and be able to tell you what's working right now and also historically what has kind of worked for you, right?
Yeah.
And if we worked with you year over year, it's even better.
Yeah. And that you bring up a very good point, that there's so much data that you can get from really going all in on your website and on digital marketing. And it's not just data on which marketing channels are working, but it's also
Yeah.
data about your customers and about what they're looking for.
Yep.
If you're a different B2B business, like, you can see if you have a product that gets a ton of views, a ton of traffic, you know that something about that is appealing to a lot of people. But then
Yep.
if they're not submitting leads or if they're not purchasing online, that tells you that once they click into that product page, there's some kind of a disconnect, that if you just figure out what that is and dial it in, you might get a lot more sales.
Yeah, and those small changes, I'll be honest with you, are what make or break a lot of online transactions. It's
Yeah.
never getting people to the page, right? You can run ads, you can do a lot of different ways to do that. You can get people to click. Um, Getting people to the page, getting people to a product page, but once they're on that product page, getting people to actually reach out, to add the cart.
Mhm.
It's the small details. It's the types of photos you have. It's the level of detail in the photos where they can see really close up, or the product descriptions, the details, the specifications, even videos to watch about it and see it in
Mhm.
action, right? If that's the case, like, there's so many nuances that paint the picture of what are people looking for, that if you see people dropping off without any conversion, without any lead form, it's either, in this case, the used
Mhm.
product is like, oh, maybe it's not in great condition. Maybe that's a turn off to a lot of people, or maybe the photos aren't great, or something about it is just like, I don't want to even waste my time, right?
Mhm.
I think that is a trap a lot of people fall into, and that leads people to have products that are either confusing or unclear because they're spending a lot of their time on these other pages, but when they get to the product page, are they actually, is there a clear call to action? That's not
Mhm.
give us a call, right? Because maybe they're not ready to give a call. Is there a secondary call to action that allows for them to get more information about the product, schedule a live demo, schedule things, even just requesting a quote, right? Those are much easier call to actions because give us a call is very much like, I have to do that right now. Whereas request a
Yeah.
quote, do these live demos, these are much more general. These are easy things for like, hey, I can schedule that later this week. I don't have to talk to them right now, right?
Mhm.
Um, and again, putting more actions in the hands of the customer or the client, the visitor, is never a good thing.
Mhm.
Because that means they have to make more decisions, they have to do more things. If you just get the information you need from them, you can handle pretty much all of those things for them. And you can then call them, you can answer the questions, you can follow up. That puts
Mhm.
the onus on you, not them. And that's never a bad thing in the sales world.
Yeah. Yeah, that was super well said. My brain's just spinning. I'm like, there's so much more we could talk about for
We could
this.
talk
But
for a
let's
whole hour just on that point. But I think to sum it up is, the cost of it is not just tangible revenue, which there's a real impact there, but it also is future market share, it's future potential. And lastly, it's all of the efficiencies along the way. It's the shortening the buying time, the sales process, um, not having to invest as much into marketing, having a better return on your ad spend. Like, all of these things work better when you have a solid foundation of a
Mhm.
website.
Perfect. Love it. So let's give let's give people a couple actionable tips that they can take on their existing website. If you've got a brochure website, if you've got a decent 5-year-old website for your B2B e-commerce business, what are some things that anyone can kind of audit and tweak to get better results and make sure their website isn't trying to function like a brochure.
Yeah, you have to switch your mindset from brochure website to this is essential asset. This is something that I look at on a daily basis, right? First step is simplify your website. Trim it down. It's easier to remove content a lot of times as a starting point, and that actually will make your website look better, even if it's super simple, even if it's older looking. Reducing the amount of content will actually help it look a little bit better and feel a little bit more modern, just because you have a little more space, right? You want to make sure that your website answers the question that clients have. You talk to clients all the time. As a customer, not you, well, you do, Jacob, but like in general, the users that we're talking to, right? The B2B e-commerce people, they talk to their clients. They know their clients pretty well. Probably a lot better than agencies or anyone else they work with probably knows their client. That's a superpower. Think about it as a client. What do they call me about? What's the questions they have? What are they most interested in? What do they keep coming back to? Make sure that's on your website. Make sure that drives the product understanding or it helps answer those questions. Focus on the questions, the journey the customer has. Where do they start? That's where the homepage begins, right? If you're selling them a product for, that's kind of advanced, it's very niche, don't try to tell them everything about that product in the niche on the homepage. Start the process of, hey, this is a great product for this industry. Then once those people that are in that industry are interested, take them to the next page or take them to the product page from there. So make it a little bit more layered so it's attractive to that specific industry, that specific niche, so people know how to engage with it. They know, oh, this is for me, right? Oh, I work in, I don't know, food manufacturing, and you're selling food processing equipment for large scale. I know that this food processing industry is for me, and these are going to show me products you have for that industry or information. It helps create direction, right? So as long as we're creating direction and we're creating a little bit more layered effect, again, we're not trying to layer things behind sub-levels, the sub-levels. We're not trying to make it complicated. We're talking about 1 to 2 type of steps. That helps us create better understanding on the website, helps create direction, and it helps create more data for us to see when we put up 6 options on the homepage and only 2 of them are being clicked on. That gives us a lot of information on what categories are the most popular so that we know how to help optimize our homepage further in the future. So again, you need to drive your product understanding by creating intentional kind of layers that help people get to where they feel like, oh, this is for me. Second, you need to act like this website is, you have education, you have content. You need to add in content, whether it's written or video form, that helps tell people the story about this product, right? No one is really going to buy a lot online if they can't see the product in action. It doesn't have information about it. It doesn't give specs. It doesn't do that because it's not checking the boxes of what does this actually do? What can it do for me? And is it actually hold up to what it actually is telling me? And if you show your product in action, holding up, doing the thing you say it's going to do, and it's an easy process, you can explain it, work through it, that's helping prove that this is a real product, this is a real company, and I'm interested in buying it, right? Now, that's helping answer a lot of those preliminary questions, helps people get through it. What do you also need to do to help create more touch points, right? So for number 1, you need to help feed leads into a CRM. You need integration with some sort of marketing optimization. Marketing optimization automation helps you capture leads that come to your website so that you can follow up with them, either be automated means or manual means, or get leads in the door that you can call and follow up with. That is super important because if people are not ready to buy, but they're interested enough to leave their information, you are capturing a lot of potential sales in the future, right?
You're not replacing the sales call. You're not saying, hey, are you ready to buy? Give us your email instead. You're saying, no, if you're ready to buy now, or contact us, give us a call. If you're not ready to buy, then give us your email instead, and we'll give you more content, more value. So you're just expanding the funnel at the top rather than trying to put everyone through this email.
You're adding a little more context, you're adding more layers, especially for the people who are not doing a lot of the legwork themselves, right? You can help do that legwork, which again goes back to shortening that sales cycle. And it enables that omni marketing kind of approach. because now you have their emails, you have their information, you can follow up with them, you can include them in your marketing campaigns. And I think the other piece there is you need to start collecting reviews, right? Doesn't have to be product specific. It could be general, could be through Google, could be online, could be just people writing in, but you need to start generating it because reviews do provide a third party kind of experience for people who is like, okay, I'm reading all this content, I'm seeing these videos about your product, but I would like to hear from other people who have bought your product and how it worked for them. That can't be really replicated by you, right? It has to be
It's
kind of from
social
other
proof.
people. Exactly, social proof. It has to be something we think about, but that takes a while to build out. So starting that process is important. I'm not saying that every product you have has to have a review right away, because it should be authentic, right?
Yeah.
To
So to
summarize,
summarize, clean up your website, remove outdated content for sure, remove unnecessary content, just try to like simplify. The second step would be tailor it to your customers' interests and needs. Don't just talk about the specs, all right?
yep.
Make sure the information is for your customers, not just talking about how great your product is. It's got to be personal. And then I might be missing one here, but the last one you said was find ways to engage the customer at different points on your website, such as having an abandoned cart email.
And then the other thing is get some videos, get some content, do some product education.
Yep.
So to meet the user's interest, right? To answer the question and feed the CRM,
And to show
feed the
it
marketing.
in use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show it in use. So what are the three things people look for in a video or want to see on a product is they want to see it legitimately. They want to see real photos, real video of it, right? So it's tangible. They want to see it in use. Does it do what it says it's going to do, right? And third, they want to actually hear about the whole idea here is giving people the content they need to confirm this is the product that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So anyone, any B2B e-commerce business, you sell products on your website to other businesses, those are some things that you can do on whatever website you have already to improve it, to optimize it, to start making it more than just a digital sales brochure. If you're ready to go a step further and get a truly professional website that has a team of experts thinking through all these things for you, reach out to us. Let's start a conversation and we'll show you what a website from Enspire with digital marketing from Enspire can do for your business. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.